Good evening, I'm Hannah Bakshi from the Spinnaker here with the Student Body President C2, and we're here at the emergency meeting for the budget. So ASU is no longer an agency of student government and now student affairs. Is it still going to get funding?
I hope it does. And what the Senate just approved today is that they will be funded till the end of this year, like they were supposed to, and then next year they will get exactly the funding that got approved in the budgets. So they'll be pretty much getting the same amount of dollars for 6 years in a row. Now it doesn't say that they cannot come back here and request for more money. They can come back if they need more dollars, like any other department in student affairs does. So they can come back and request more money if they were to grow. So yes, they keeping the staying ASU. They keeping pretty much the same programming and the same service they have for the student body.
Will they get more funding from student affairs?
I would love to give you an exact answer, but I do not represent student affairs and I don't want to say anything that they're not thinking. But I strongly believe that they will, because student affairs, you have to understand, is a department, is under the whole university. And if they have a department, then they take care of the department and they will do anything they need to do to make that department successful. So if it gets to the point where ASU needs more dollars to make an event happen or to be successful, then I can guarantee the university will work to make it happen.
Now, do you think other student affair organizations would think it unfair that ASU will still get as much funding?
I do not think so, because they do get funding also, based on what they do exactly. But you have to understand that it cannot be really, they cannot be compared to other departments, because they are part of student governments. As an hour ago they were, but we had to find a solution for the benefit of the whole student body, not just student government, not just ASU, but the whole student body. And student affairs say, you know what, I can help, but I need a hand here. I don't have the dollars to make this happen. I need you to support me for a certain period of time. And that's what we did pretty much. But after 6 years, or maybe even earlier, because it says that student affairs can probably kick in earlier, hopefully, they'll be able to take over the 50,000. And then ASU, if they need money, will have to come back just like anybody else in student affairs to request money. So I don't think anybody will look at it as unfair, because everyone is a family. So I don't think there'll be any of that, no.
What led to this change of deciding of ASU not being an agency anymore?
I tend to say that it started when they marched against the decision of Torys, but I think it goes back further than that. And it started 10 years, 11 years ago, when they marched the first time. They marched the first time and they say, you know what, we want to stay an agency. You guys, the student body wanted to zero fund them. They say, no, I cannot just zero. They said, you cannot just zero fund us, because we're here and we serve a purpose. And before that, since then, it's always been about, what is ASU really supposed to do? Are they only supposed to service the African American, or are they supposed to put events for the whole student body? And most of the time, it seemed like most of the events were oriented to African American, and I think that's why we've been having so much issues with ASU. So frankly, I think this is probably the best solution for everyone at this point. ASU gets the autonomy that they've always wanted. Student government now gets to say, okay, you know what? You're in a department, you get to do what you want, or at least you work with your direct boss, which will be Dr. Gonzalez, and deal with them and realize, okay, what do we need to do? What are our priorities? On the student government, there's a lot of rules you have to follow. I mean, it's just the way it is. It's unfortunate, some of them are unfortunate, but we have to do it that way if we want to be able to, you know, kind of make sure nobody just goes crazy and does whatever they want to do. So I think it comes down to, it's a win-win situation for student government, because now we don't have to worry about trying to get an agency to be in compliance, and then the agency doesn't have to worry about trying to be in compliance with student government or fighting against student government and trying to get what they want. So it's a win-win situation. It's just not student government now.
Student government elected Torys to be part of ASU. Now that it won't be part of the agency, do you think that his position could be in danger?
I do not think so, because ASU is being transferred to student affairs with the leadership that he has today, which means Torys, Joanna, and anybody else in there. I do not believe student affairs will let Tory go because Tory plays an important part in ASU, and that cannot be ignored. I think the issue is being fixed just by moving ASU to the second floor. Is ASU has been marching and complaining because they've been saying that Tory shouldn't have been selected based on the bylaws. And now that the bylaws are being rewritten with student affairs, I am sure they will tackle that issue and make sure that anyone can actually be part of. Anyone can be part of the leadership of ASU. So I don't think it will be an issue at all.
Gotcha. Last question. That solved the ASU question. What other bills were discussed in tonight's meeting?
One bills were how to terminate an agency, how to form an agency, and the two big ones were about making sure ASU keeps the dollars that they need to operate. Let me tell you about the first one, which is terminating an agency. Usually when you terminate an agency, you just terminate them, bam, it's done. Okay, let me give you a scenario. The budget just got approved for $51,000 and change for ASU. If we terminate ASU, and then we don't revisit the budget, that means we have $51,000 that's up in the air. What do we do with it? So what we said is every time an agency gets terminated, those dollars go back to budget and allocation committee. They reevaluate the whole budget and see where they can use the $51,000 or whatever amount it is, so that the $51,000 or whatever amount of money it is just don't sit there. That's the one. Forming an agency, we say that we don't want an existing club, to become an agency. Well, let me explain a little bit. When you have a club, and that's what happened with ASU, they come with the bylaws. They come with an objective. And they come to ASU and they say, well, now we want more dollars, we want more power. Say, fine, here is the money that you want, here's the requirements. If they meet the requirements, they get the dollars associated. But there's a trick. The trick is you have now to abide by the constitution of student government, which does not always match with your constitution, or which is your initial goal. So pretty much coming to student government as a club means you have to change what you've been doing the whole time. And that's where the fight starts. And I say, no, I don't want to. And student government say, well, you have to. So we just remove that so no clubs become an agency. And then the other two were about making sure ASU keeps the money till the end of the year and make sure they get it for 6 years, because it's hard for us to just get student affairs to jump in like that and, here's a new department, take care of it. It's hard to get money nowadays. So we understand that we need to serve the student body, and that's our first purpose. And we're willing to, and the Senate is willing to say, okay, we'll give you $51,000 for 6 years. You can come ask for more if you have to, but for 6 years you have that dollar available to you. Just in case student affairs cannot come up with anything, we can still serve the student body.
Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, and I'm Hannah Bakshi from the Spinnaker.